we're here for a reason. This is our moment. And if we need to unite and make something happen now. And so it's like, it's against all, it's over all ages too. It's the younger ones, the older ones. It's like everybody needs to have a voice. So one of the things that I started with Voices of Women was to make sure that women have that platform. And in this time, it's like I started teaching women internet marketing back in 2001. And my mission then was, it was called Wired Right Now, and it was Women's Internet Results Experts Development. And so it was really about going around the world and helping women to have a voice on the internet. Again, this was like 2001, and I was trying to go into Africa, the Philippines, all these different areas. And the biggest problem I had at that time was internet access for a lot of women. So that was a huge problem. But now it's like everything is in alignment. We're all knowing that we have something to say. We all know that this is our moment, and that the internet is allowing us to connect. So it's like when all things fall into place, you know that you're in the right time and this is what we're supposed to be doing. Now, one of the things with women is there's a lot of you out there that feel like, what do I have to share? Who's going to listen to me? There's all these different things that are whispering in our heads, making us feel like we don't really have a place to get up there and speak. Everybody has a voice. You know, every woman's voice, every man's voice, every voice has a certain pitch and tone to it that resonates with the world. We all have our unique, it's like our unique thumbprint. It's our voice. And it's like, if that's missing from the weave of all these different people that are on this planet, there's a sound that is missing from that orchestra. So your voice is important. You're part of that orchestra. So you need to be playing in it, right? So one of the things that with Voices of Women, it was really to make sure that women have a place to speak. And I want to show you first. I'm going to share. Can I share my screen, Ingen? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And okay, so when I created Voices of Women, then what we did is we created training. So women that didn't know how to get their voices out, there's training for that. We have different platforms. We have radio, podcasting, we have TV, we have a magazine, online magazine. We are just now launching our own speakers bureau. We have Vow Books, where we're publishing books. Vow Travel, it's called Travel with Purpose, with some amazing women that are taking other women on journeys to really live a life of purpose and travel and help other people. And then our speakers bureau. So and then we have communities, we have our council, and we also have Ingen's on our council, and we're adding that on. So we have also, she'll be added into the partners. So we are partnering up with Female Wave of Change, because it's really important right now that around the world that we connect. It's not just the United States, it's not just the Netherlands, it's not just Africa or Australia. This is an important time for all of us to come together, for all of us to put our voices in and be able to speak our minds, because just having one perspective in the world is not going to make that change. And one of the things that I think in the past that's happened, when women get together, it becomes divided. And so it's like anything, it's one little spark. If you have these little sparks around the world as individual sparks, they can only light up so much of the area. But if you put all those sparks together and we create a bonfire that can just resonate around the world, and we can create that change, right? So one of the things that we look at is, what is the best way for you to get your voice out? What's the easiest way? Like right now, Ingen is in a class with me for podcasting, and podcasting has become a tool that's inexpensive. It's really easy. All you got to do is, if you have Zoom, like you're on right now, and you want to do interviews, you use Zoom and you ask somebody to come on and you interview them and share their story. If you want to just share your story, you have a camera on your phone. You can videotape that and turn it into a podcast. If you wanted to do a audio recording, there's different ways that you could do that. You could, if you have a Mac, you can record on GarageBand. If you have a PC or Mac, you can download a piece of software. It's free. It's called Audacity, Audacity, and you can go on to Google and just Google Audacity, and you can find a link to download it, and you can download it for free, and it lets you record. All you gotta do is plug a microphone into your computer, have the software on your computer, and you can record an audio, and then that audio can be put into a blog post. So if you know how to create a blog post, you insert the audio. There's actually a plugin called Blueberry. And when you look at your plugins on your website, if you put that plugin in, it automatically sets it up as a podcast for you and will insert it into all the places that you want it to go. So it's really simple now to start getting your voice out there. Like right now, in 2005, I started Women in Podcasting, which is one of the top women's podcast directories on the internet. So we have hundreds of submissions every day of women that are starting to podcast to get their voices out. And so basically when you have a podcast, this gives you your own stage. So you're able to share what you feel, what you want to see change in the world, what you want to add to the world. This is your platform. Now a podcast can also be turned into a radio show. So we have, here we go back real quick. So we had the radio show. So basically an audio is an MP3. So that audio can be put into a blog post, turned into a podcast, made into a radio show. So it's streamed. We create streams. That way people can just subscribe to it and be able to listen to that show. Now, it's as easy as, if any of you guys are really interested in podcasting and you want, I'll give you a free workbook that gives a little step-by-step information. I'd be more than happy to give that to you because I want as many people podcasting as possible, many women podcasting, because we need more women podcasting. We need more women's voices. So just pick up a microphone. Think about what you want to say. Also, I look at, if I'm doing like a chapter of a book, I'll just give you a little insight on how you can do a podcast. So if you look at, if I do a chapter of a book, all right, so here's like a content of a book. All right, let's see if you can see that very well. Okay, so if you look at in the chapter, well, that's not very good. Sorry. Content. This one's better. All right, so this one's much better. Let me show you this one. All right, so let's say that if you're doing a podcast, one of the things that you can do just to, because a lot of times people say, I don't know where to start. What do I say? I don't have, what am I going to say every week? I don't know what to say. So you want to strategize this. You want to make a little agenda for yourself so that way you know what you're going to be saying. So let's say that here's All Souls Day, a prologue. So let's say that this was the title of your podcast. So I want you to like take a sheet tonight and then just write down what the name of your podcast would be. And then you have chapter 1, 2, 3. So it's like do 12 chapters. That's 12 weeks. That's 3 months worth of content for your podcast. I want you to write down, just like you were writing chapters of a book. You want it to flow. You want your audience to be able to follow along with you. So if you're doing topics like an introduction and you're taking them through a story, do it like a story form. You're storytellers. That's what it's all about. Be a storyteller. Tell other people's stories. Tell your story. Your story matters because something in your life may have happened that other people can learn from. And that's why we're here. We're here to experience. We're here to learn from one another. So that your voice and your message and your story is so important. So let's say that you write down the topics. So if I was going to write down each week kind of a topic of what I want to talk about. So these would be my chapters. I have 12 chapters. Then I sit down and I record. If I was going to do a solo recording, then I would do a 5 to 10 minute recording on each one of these chapters. Then on my podcasting, I have an audio on each one that flows, right? And after I do 12 chapters and I record all those, I can also have that transcribed and turned into blog posts or also into ebooks. So if I'm already thinking about this as a book, think about your podcast can be something you sell also. If you're telling women's stories of survival, let's say, then you can have each story and you have a significant message in each story. And as you're talking to each woman, you have all 12 chapters. Then you have that transcribed, you put it into an ebook, you add it into Amazon. Now you're an author. You're an author, you're a podcaster, and you have a blog post, all from one audio. Okay, so you got to think ahead about what you're creating, because what people start getting really wound up in is they think, well, I got to create content every week, and it just like, it's overwhelming. And it's like, I got to, all these different ways I got to get my voice out there. From one audio or one video, you have multiple ways to have your voice heard. Okay, so I want you to write down those 12 chapters tonight. Write down a topic for each one, like a chapter, and start outlining what you're going to be saying. Or think about who you want to interview. What 12 women would you want to interview, or men that you would like to interview that will really help share the message that you want to share? Do a little research, like this person went through this person overcame this, and then you put them into your story. This is your quilt of all the stories that you want to sew together to make your message included with them. Okay, so after you get that done, if you wanted to do the interview, then you set it up like we're on Zoom right now, and you can automatically record it. So you're going to get a video and an audio. Or if you want to do solo, then that's when you would use that Audacity that I told you about. Just go to Audacity, Audacity, and then write Audacity download in Google, and you'll find it, and it will share with you which one you want to use for your computer. Okay, and so this will be your first step. Do this. This will start getting your voice out there. This will give you multiple ways to be a podcaster, a radio show host, and an author. If you start wanting to create a regular radio show, then contact me. I will put your radio show in Val Radio. And also what we're doing is we're building up. Sorry, could you still see me? Something went out for a second. What we're doing is we're building up enough voices for Female Wave of Change, because we want to create a channel for Female Wave of Change. So if you start getting your voices together from Female Wave of Change, we can create your own little station around that and all your voices. The best way you want to do, if you want to promote Female Wave of Change, each of you needs to have a voice. Each of you needs to be your message, how you're going to make that change. And if you start doing it with this podcast, or putting out ebooks, or all these different ways that you could get your voice out, and then bringing them back to Female Wave of Change, that's going to create the movement. They want to hear the stories. Be storytellers. Okay, so that's really what I want to put an emphasis on. It's like, you don't have to have a lot of money, a lot of tools. You can start right now. You have a computer. You have a microphone. Right now, if you're on this webinar, you have the ability to podcast. You have everything you need to get started. Okay, and you have free tools. Also, I invite you, if you want to contact me, if you have questions, please email me, ask me what you need, and I'll answer you, and we can make sure that you know exactly what you need to get to start podcasting, to start having your radio show. Okay, so it is really important that there are no obstacles, and there really isn't right now, because we have so many opportunities, things that are available to us. So if you want to start getting your voice out, there's no reason for you not to. And I would love to really create a channel for Female Wave of Change and have all your voices in there. And then if you're doing Zoom and you do videos, you can have a Female Wave of Change TV channel and radio. So with video creates multiple pieces of content also, actually more than audio, because you have your podcast, you have your TV, you have your radio, you have your books, you have everything. One video can do that. Okay, so one of the things that with your voice and knowing that this is the time, one of the things I love about Ingen and Female Wave of Change is her openness to really bring in other people and partner with them, because it is through collaboration that we're going to make this change. It's like before, over the years, it's like everybody feels like, okay, I'm doing the same thing you are, so let's, like, I'm going to keep my little circle and you keep yours. But it's really when we start merging those circles and we become one, we become a planet of our own, is when we start creating that change. And so kudos to you, Inga, and thank you so much for partnering with me, because it's a pleasure and honor. And I'm excited to be working with all the women that you have in Female Wave of Change, and all of us having a voice together. So what I like to do is, instead of constantly talking about this, I like to answer some questions. So I'm going to open this up. If you guys have any questions, and anything that you want to ask is good. If you need help with anything, ask me. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity and you have the skills to do this. Okay.
Okay, Jody, thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have a great background in radio and TV and podcasting and things like that. Where did it start for you? You know, it is there's this world out there, and then there's this idea of I want to have my voice heard. Where did it start for you that you said, well, you know, I really want to get out of, you know, I want to have my voice heard. What is that background that made that choice for you?
Yeah, well, I was an artist my whole life. I paint murals, and I did art shows, and my father and mother were artists, and my father was also a public speaker. And I remember being a kid, and my dad would go on stage and speak, and it's like, I want to be a speaker, because it's like I felt like when I see him up on stage and people paid attention. So if you have something to share, it's like, wow, they really listen to you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would ask him, I'd say, well, what do I need to do to make sure that I can be a speaker? He said, speak from your heart and know exactly what you're talking about. So if you know frontwards and backwards what your message is, you're always prepared. And you go up there on stage and you talk about it, and you be passionate about it, because people feel what you feel. And if you're not passionate about it, they're not going to feel it. So mm-hmm. It's really, so that was my first, I think, when I first started talking about using my voice, it was through my father. And then when I actually did commercials when I was younger, and so I was really interested in doing TV and video, and I became an agent. So I managed some actors, and then I had an art gallery. So I started managing artists. And so I started like really helping people have a stage for their art, for their acting, for their voices. And it was in 1994, I created one of the very first online art galleries, which was way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And so it was a little ahead of its time, because it was flash based. And the prices on the artwork was very expensive, and nobody wanted to use their credit card online. So no. It was just too soon. And then in 1998, my partner and I, he wrote the first books. My partner, he wrote the first books on affiliate marketing. And so he was working with companies like American Express, Priceline, helped a lot of companies really establish themselves on the internet in the early days. And we started teaching internet marketing classes in the 90s, late 90s. And then in 2000, had really started to come about, and people were interested in it. So I spent a lot of time on stage. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, it was a little bit blocky. I spent a lot of time on stage educating people on what podcasting was. Mostly back in 2004, it's like, what is a podcast? And it went away for a while, because technology needed that time to catch up. And now we're at that place where, like I said, all the worlds have collided, everything merged together, and we're at that right time, because the technology works, people understand, they have the ability to connect. And with my experience with television, radio, I also was an executive of a radio station. So I worked with radio and television. I've been interested in the arts and really having people be able to share their message my whole life. And so when I saw what was happening, and and the ability to be able to get people's message out, I started trying to hire somebody to create a TV radio network. And at that time, it was so early on, people didn't, I kept going through so many people, and I'd have these dreams, and I would dream what the whole network would look like, right? And so I got books, and I taught myself how to code, how to program. I taught myself how to do it all, and I built my own network. Everything that you see now, I built it all because I was so determined to have it done that I just taught myself and made it myself. Right? So it's like, if you have something that you want to do, don't let anything stop you. Just you have the power to make it happen.
A woman in tech, that's what they say nowadays. It's very important.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like, don't let that stop you.
Yeah. There are so many different platforms or media that you can use now. It's television and radio and podcasting. You can use Facebook Live. You can use LinkedIn Live. It's more and more. I do feel that it's very important to start using these tools because, in my opinion, a lot of people are lazy. They want to see you, they want to hear you, but they do not want to read it, Yeah,
reading has become, some people still read, and that's why I still offer the reading, but a majority of people, there was a trend report for 2018, and it said that everything has become a bite-sized information. So it needs to be short little increments. Like for podcasts, they don't need to be 30 minutes or 60 minutes long. I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes for audio interview or podcast. For video, you're looking at 2 to 3 minutes. Right now, Facebook for ads, they want like 15 to 30 seconds. I mean, it's really has come condensed, right? So it's like on Facebook, there's BeLive.tv, which is really cool because you can just set up, it's a free account. You can go in there and it puts the lower third. That means they could put your name on the bottom, and it does all the recording for you. And so there's so many cool tools out there that's available for you, right? So, and it's like, it's really, the marketing and advertising has changed. It's about relationships. People are not so much interested as like, okay, you have a product, you put the product out there. They're like, who are you? What's the experience I'm going to get from this? What is it that I need to connect with you as a human being? It's relationship marketing. It's like they want to know more about you, and that's going to pull them in. So that's why your voice, the video, those are the things that people are going to connect with you with.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I see that Tabello has a interesting question. Tabello, maybe you want to present yourself and ask the question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Can.
Hi, thank you very much. Good to see everybody. Jody, my question is just really around, in your experience in all the years that you've been in this space, what is it that makes women so scared to use their voice? And what are some of the tips that you've given them, to encourage them to be able to use their voices better?
I think that's a good question too, because I think that over the years, it's like you could teach people all the technical aspects of something, and it's like there's been so many women, there's been men too, but it's like what happens is that they need to get over the hurdle that their voice needs to be heard also, because I think too many times women have been kind of put into a place where, it's like they just kind of behind the scenes, and it's time for women to come out into the front of the room rather than be behind the scenes. And it's like what they need to know. A lot of time women feel like, why is my message important? Who wants to hear me? And they shy away from moving forward. And I always tell women, it's like, I look over my past experiences in my life. It's like I lost a child, I lost, my mom and dad. It's like all these, like, there's been happy times, there's been sad times, there's been, abuse, there's been all these different things that happen to all of us. We all have something that happens to us. It's like, how can I use that to help somebody else that's in that same circumstance. You know, it's like, so you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for that woman that's sitting there listening to you. You know, so if I'm sharing my story and somebody's in the midst of something, they're experiencing so much tragedy right now in their life, and they're thinking, how am I ever going to come out of this? And then they hear you. You know, you don't know who it is. It could be just be one person out there, and they hear you and how you have overcome that, and then they have hope that they know that they can too. So that's why everybody's voice is important. And so that's what I share with women. It's like, let's look at your life. What have you experienced? You know, the good and the bad. What is it that you could do to help somebody, even one person out there? And there's always something in everybody's life. We all have a unique experience. So, and then once we figure out, it's like, their message is really important and needs to be shared, then the steps are, it's like, all right, we're going to start practicing. So it's not going out, because the biggest thing people start thinking about, oh no, there's people out there listening to me, and then they get scared and they don't want to talk. So it's like, start doing some practice interviews with your friends. Pick up Zoom, open it up, get your friend on there, record it, and just start practice asking each other questions. And that starts making you more comfortable in that place of recording your voice. And after you do it a few times and you listen to it, it's like, okay, this is not so bad. Maybe then you put one out and then you put another one out. It doesn't have to happen right away. You can build it up until you feel comfortable to start getting your voice out there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And thank you for asking that. Was there any other questions that anybody had?
Thank you. Tabello, by the way, is one of our Female Wave of Change ambassadors. She is calling in from South Africa. So it's.
Oh, thank you for coming today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. One of the others.
Somebody else have a question? Come on, you all have a voice. Get up here.
Yeah. Well, I know, for instance, that Sandra, she's online. She's one of my. She's one of the board members of Female Wave of Change, and she's constantly apping me about all the ideas she's getting. Maybe she wants to say. She has been sick for the whole week, so she's not video, but she's there. Sandra?
Yes, no, but Jody already answered my question, because what I wanted to know is how long does a podcast has to be, how many minutes, but you already told me it's about 2 to 3 minutes. That's more than enough.
Well, for video, if you're doing an interview on audio, it's like I would like stay at like under 15 minutes for an interview. Also, what I do sometimes is they could be really short sound bites. I interview people sometimes and maybe interview them for 30 minutes, and then because if you try to interview somebody in a short amount of time, it's hard for them to bring out the good stuff, right? So if you let them talk, and then after I let them talk, I'll go in and I'll pull out like little 2-minute segments of them talking about specific topics. And then I'll break those up and put them out as little short sound bites, right, for podcasts. So it's like, it's because people want that short information. They want those gold nuggets that they're going to be able to get right away without having to spend all their time listening. There are a lot of people here in the United States that are, when they commute, they download all like 5 podcasts a week. So if they're commuting, a lot of times they'll listen to like 15-minute podcasts. So on the average, they're listening to 5 podcasts a week. So that's quite a bit, and those are commutes. So like the 15-minute ones are really good for that, because they listen. Maybe if they have a 30-minute commute, they're listening to 2 interviews on the way to work and 2 interviews on the way home, right? So it just depends on, if you're doing video, keep it shorter. Like it's like, look at it this way too. First introduction. When you're building an audience, they're not going to give you a lot of time because they don't know you. So first introduction, you want to make it short, sweet. Let them give them the juicy parts, the best part of an interview, because then they're going to take that in and they're going to look for more. As people get to, what I like to do is like take those short pieces, put them out free to everybody. And if I have a long interview, like I actually interviewed the 2 of the 5 women from the Women of ENIAC, these are the women that created the first computer program during World War II. And they've all passed away now. But I did an hour interview with each one of those women, which are incredible. But I took little short segments and I put those out via podcast. And then I have an online community. And I'd say, if you want to listen to the full hour, then you can come into my community, and then you can have access to the longer ones. People that want to connect with you, that want more, they can come on into a space that you create for them to, because they are willing to listen to the longer pieces. But the shorter pieces are, it's what you want to put out there to the public for free. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you decide how much you ask people? You give the small parts, you give them for free, but what do they pay to become a member, to see everything? Is there a sort of a guidance or a guideline that you?
I look at I look at how much interaction I'm going to have. Like if I create a community where it's just like content, so let's say I keep it under $5 a month. So $4.99 a month, you have access to all my longer versions of my shows, right? If I start putting in more content, like I give you tips and tools and things like that, I may go up to like $19.95 a month. If I do like a regular webinar and I come in and I start training people and I'm doing emails and I'm working with them more and more, that may go up to $49.95 a month. You know, so it just depends on how much interaction I have to physically put into that community. If I don't have any interaction with people, I can do it at a lower price point, right? So it's like, it's basically just them, they're paying that under $5 a month just to have access to content that when people pay for something, they're more apt to come and listen to it too. If you give away something for free, then it's like people always tend to kind of forget about it, right? So it's, if you have them put just even $1 in, they tend to pay more attention to it than a free community for some reason. It's just the way human nature is.
Yeah. In that respect, would you suggest us, this is just a question that pops up right now.
Right.
Would you suggest us for those online waves that we're doing right now, that we should ask for small payments?
For the online waves, are you spending a lot of time with them?
This is an online wave we're doing right now.
Okay. I'm sorry. So you're providing webinars and stuff like that. Okay. So it just depends on like the circumstances. Like because I have VOW community, right? So I have a free community where I have different topics that I open for free to everybody. So anybody can log into the community, have access to everything. And then I have private communities within my big one. So it's like, this is a private one and we're going to be teaching classes, or we have special expert speakers or whatever, and people pay, even if it's just a little bit to be able to access that paid circle, right? So it's like, I would say have a general community open for free to get, so you're giving the general information, and those that want to go more in depth, they're going to pay a little bit to get that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the others.
I'm sorry.
Anyone with a question for Jody?
I know you have a question. I can see you smiling up there. You have a question?
Ingun, it's Tebello here.
Hi.
Yes.
One of the issues I think most of us kind of have a fear for is the fear of security, particularly on the internet. So I don't know if I create a podcast, how do I ensure that there is some security in it, and that I don't find it all over the place, even on channels where I don't need it to be. So I think, in trying to get used to this virtual world, there's also just that sense of I don't even know where it's gonna go, and if I'm always gonna be in secured areas. So how would one try and address that, or guide people in terms of how to manage that?
Well, one of the things that with your content, if you create your own secured area where your content is not able to be shared, that people have to access it in a community, then it means that they can't share it, and you don't make it available for download, right? If a lot of times people use avatars, that means like you can create a fictional name if that's what you're thinking about, that you don't want your name out there. You can create a different name, get an avatar that you can put and really have a voice. I have some friends that they do business online, but they don't want to be, they want to really share their story, but they don't want it connected to their business. So they create a different name and they'll put their show out. It's just like when somebody writes a book, authors, they may have all these pseudonyms that they're using different names to write under. You could do that with your podcast or radio show as well. If, it's like, it just depends on like where you want your information. Because if you have control of your audio, like if you host your own audio, you have full control over how it's sent out. If you wanted to take a video or audio and put it into like YouTube, then you can make it private. You can make it unlisted and make it where it can't be shared. And so then that way you can put it into a community that people can't download it, they can't share it. But it's the internet though. It's like if somebody really, really wants something, to be honest with you, they can strip it and the audio or video off and they can get it. So it's like, I don't want to tell you that you're in complete security, because there's that chance that somebody, if they really want it, can get it and share it somewhere else. But it's like if you're in a closed community and your community members have access to this content and you don't allow them to download it or share it, most people don't know how to strip it. It takes a little bit of technical know-how to do that. So it's just, I'm not knowing your circumstances. It's like if you wanted to contact me, email me. You can email me at Jody, Jody, at fmgnetwork.com. That's F as in Frank, M as in Mary, G as in George. That's fmgnetwork.com. Jody at fmgnetwork.com. If you want to email me and you have any specific questions and you want to go more in depth on like what you want to create, I can give you some suggestions and help you out. But it's like I said, you're not 100% secure anywhere you're at, but we can find ways to, like I said, create avatars so people don't know it's you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. One more question.
Sure.
So, because this is something that I hear a lot from, especially women. How perfect does it have to be? Women tend to say, "I have to be ready to go online. I have to be ready to do my own show. I have to be ready." They feel that they have to control everything. That they really have to know. That they are secure what they are going to ask and things like that. So they want it to be perfect.
Right. That's pretty much the case. I've talked to a lot of women over the years, and it's like, I'm not ready. When I'm ready, and it's like, when will you be ready? It's like, and what happens is I have a lot of women that they have an idea, they have something they want to share, and they feel they're not ready, and then a few months later, somebody comes out with the exact same thing. They're like, I thought of that first. It's like, well, then when you get that thought, get it out there,
Yes.
So it's, it's like one thing about audio is like, if your audio quality needs to be decent so people can listen to it. If you use Zoom like we're using right now, Zoom has great audio. So it's like, as long as the audio quality is good, it's like, and one of the things, like your message, just get your voice out there. I mean, you can just, I can help you too. If you like want an outline of an agenda for a show, I have a checklist of like what kind of questions to ask. I'm more than happy to share that with you. Okay. So let me know if you want that. I'll share it with you. And like I said, practice with some people that you feel comfortable with, some friends, and then just start asking a few questions. A lot of times what's really nice about being a host is that if you have a list of questions, you kind of like ask the questions, and it's the guest's responsibility to really get the message out. But if you're doing solo, if you have something that you want to share on your own, I recommend it's like go to a quiet place in your house. A lot of people go sit in their cars,
Mm-hmm.
There's also a thing called Anchor that you can download on your phone that lets you record your voice. And it's really, if I can have it on my iPhone, it's called Anchor, and you can just record and it turns it into an audio. You can also set up Anchor on a radio show so people can record messages and questions for you. And then you can just take that message and put it into your show, right? So then you can incorporate it in. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So just find a quiet place. Like when I first started, I felt that way. It's like, oh, I don't want anybody to hear me. And so I actually spent a lot of time. I'd take my car and I took my laptop and I would sit in my car and I would just talk and I'd listen to it and I'm like, no, I don't like that. Then I would just keep doing it and I'd listen to myself until I got to the point where I felt more and more comfortable with the way that I sounded. And so like I said, just do some practice recordings. It's actually a lot easier if you're talking with friends, because if you're doing it through Zoom and you're talking to friends, because then you have somebody to like bounce those ideas off of. And a lot of times people, when they're starting off, if they're trying to do a solo recording, it's harder. It's like, okay, how can I just talk to myself for 5 to 10 minutes, But I also say that when you're doing a solo and you're recording, or even if you're doing an interview, create a person that you're speaking to. So like if I have a message that I want to share, I think about what woman is sitting out there in the audience that needs to hear this. I'll even write it, like I draw a picture of her and I'll give her a name and give her a backstory. This is where she lives. This is how many kids she has. This is what she's experiencing right now. So then that way when I'm recording, I'm talking to her. It could be somebody that you know. It could be somebody that you make up. But when I'm sitting there talking, so I'll say, and I don't put her name in there, but I'll say, today we're going to talk about this. And I'm thinking about her in my head. And I'm saying, you need to do this. You need to share your knowledge. You need, I know what you're going through. You're going through all this in your life and you can overcome this. So then that way it's more personal. It's from my heart to her heart. Even though she could be a fictitious person, it's connecting with somebody out there that feels that way, right? So it also makes it real. Like you're not just talking out in the air, you're talking to somebody. So create that avatar for yourself. Go just record some messages to this person and talk to them. And that could be the start of how you're going to start getting your voice out there in a more genuine, heartfelt way. Okay.
Thank you. I have a question for the ladies who are online. So who is excited enough or has already plans to make their own show and get these stories out? Because we would love to get in touch and do it together.
I just got contaminated.
I'm sorry?
I just got contaminated.
Okay, Sandra, yeah. Yes. I
know that Ingun is working with you on, she's following the course,
Right.
but I didn't have the time yet. But hearing this webinar, I think we should be doing something with it. I should be doing something with it. I don't know how yet, but I will.
I have the recordings and the documents. Inga, I'm happy to share that with you and your community also, to like we can do like the recordings and things that people could use and just to get them going. When I did that podcast class, it was pay what you can.
Yeah.
And it's like, I did that because I wanted, and when I say pay what you can, because like I said before, when people just put even $1 in, they're more apt to show up than not when you say free, right? Yeah. And so it's like, it wasn't about the money. It was about committing to something. And so as we're doing the classes, I have recordings of the class. I have all the documentation that goes with it, exercises, project exercises. I'm happy to share that with you guys. And then that way you have something to follow, a system to start getting your content and your podcast out quickly. Okay.
Well, I already saw. I saw Lubna. She's online. She's in your community, the podcasting community online.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Maybe she wants to share something.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. We can.
Okay. Hi, Jody. Thank you. Ingen, thank you for inviting me.
Hi.
This is Zoom call. I am in your community. I haven't had time to start everything, but based on what you shared today, I'd love to start a show.
Okay,
Love to start
perfect.
podcasting.
I love that. Yeah, I hadn't seen you in class, but what if you do you have access to the community with all the downloads?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, go, it just if you have questions, let me know, and
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions and help you out to get you started. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Welcome. I look forward to hearing your show.
Yeah. Looking forward to starting.
You know, it's like it's really just record something. You know what? If you want to start, and one way to do it is just sit down, write out like, "Hi, I'm Jody Colvard. I'm CEO of Voices of Women, and I'm doing this first show. I want to do a little introduction about myself, tell you about why I'm doing this and what I want you to be able to get from it. So if like why I'm doing it, what you can benefit from, and just do a little recording about that. It's like join me each week. My passion is to really share stories with you of women that are overcoming obstacles, sharing their voice. I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment here. Also, when you do a show, you want to make sure you have that call to action. So it's like at the end of the show, give them some place to go to connect with you. It's like, be sure to I have jodyshow.com. So I'll say, be sure to join me at jodyshow.com for all past archives and guest bios. I love to hear from you. We have a comment box. Write comments. I want to hear from you and I'll answer your questions. If you say that at the end of your shows, it's like it gives that, if people are kicking the hind end, is like move forward and do something to be able to connect with you, which they need. It's like, all right, now that I've heard this, what do I do now? And so you're going to direct them and show them. You guide them, grab them by the hand and say, all right, here, go here, comment, go to this site. You give them, a lot of times we give people a free gift, a free download. If you want to build your email list, it's a great way with podcasting is that I'll say, like, come to my website, go to www.valglobal.com. I give away a free manifesto, which is kind of like, so people can put in their email and they can download the manifesto, which is kind of like a positive words of action that they can say affirmations every day to help them in their life, right? So it's like, as long as you're giving away a gift, if you have a show that you're telling stories on business, or you're telling stories about relationships, you could do a one-pager, a little download on like, here's the 5 to 6 steps on how to clean your closet. Here's the 5 or 6 steps on how to speak to your partner positively. It's like these type of downloads, people, when they're listening to your show, they'll put their email in. You're going to build your email list. So that's going to give you connection with them. You can get a free MailChimp account and you can set up that on your site. So then that way you're building your email list, and it keeps that line of connection with them. So even if they listen to your show once and then they think, wow, what was that show I listened to? I can't remember where it was. I can't find it now. They're connected to you via email. And so you can start sending them more and more content about upcoming shows and ways that they can work with you. So the email is really important when you're doing your show.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, I know there's probably a lot more to ask, and definitely Female Wave of Change will have its own TV, radio, podcasting channel this year. This is absolutely something we're working on. So it's really great that we are partnering up with an organization like yours, because there's a lot to learn. And it is our mission to get all these stories out. So if you're listening tonight and you really are focused on having your story out, or you want to approach a certain target group, also get in touch with Female Wave of Change, because we can help you to get these stories out into a large number of women here worldwide. So that would really be great. For now, Jody, I really want to thank you. I saw something. Oh, wow. I'm trying to get to this section. Thank God. Managed. Kindly share your email again. I will want to underestimate podcasting more. Okay.
Let me write my email in here for you guys.
In the chat box.
Yeah.
That really
so
yeah.
I don't have my glasses on. Okay, and then you can go to and valglobal.com. That so Jody at fmgnetwork.com is my email address.
Yes.
And valglobal.com is our Voices of Women site, which links into the radio, TV, and all that we offer. And if you want to email me, if you have any questions, you want to get started podcasting, I offer you guys the materials to get you started. And so just let me know if you want it, and I'll make sure that you get access to everything, and you can start podcasting. Okay.
Yeah. And otherwise, just contact us, info@femalewaveofchange.com, and we'll answer all your questions and
Sure.
send you Jody's websites and an email address. Okay, well, to finish off, this is so wonderful, to have you here. This webinar is recorded, so it will be online from this weekend on. I'm not going to promise tomorrow. This will be online from this weekend on. Okay. So there will be more and more women who want to listen in, and so there will be more women asking the questions. So that will be great. What about us? You can find us everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're getting more and more women who connect with us. Invite your friends. We really want to get our voices out and to be the change maker, to be the catalysts right now in this time. We have now, since 2 weeks, we have our group Female Wave of Change on our community. On Female Wave of Change, on Facebook, I'm sorry. Oh, it's almost like the same, almost. But, we really want you to interact, to post your, everything that's, that you're doing in English. It has to be in English. And, the challenges that you're facing, just put them there. And we really want people to get into dialogue, to collaborate and things like that. So it's not all kinds of commercial things, but really going to the things that we're facing in this world. One of the other things that I want to create, want to share with you, and to mark your calendars, on March 24, 2018, so that's in a little over 2 months' time, that's on a Saturday, we have a global event. So we are already represented in 20 countries by now. In 20 countries there are ambassadors. There's more to come. But we will have local events in those countries, and we have a live streaming event online. So that will be a whole day of live streaming from the different local events worldwide. So that will really be great. Speakers from all over the world. And in between, we will have speakers from other places. Like, I already asked Jody that, she has this great vow council with fabulous, powerful women. So we're going to invite them to speak. There's more and more women who will be online as well. So mark your calendars to be there and to join in. And if you have suggestions for speakers or, in any country, ambassadors, wave makers, whatever, contact us at info@femalewaveofchange. Well, this is one of our things. Of course, I am going to do this in the end. We're doing a lot of work, and we have huge plans. But we need our friends. We need our friends to support us. So if you, by chance, if you have the opportunity to become our friend or even our best friend, visit our website, femalewaveofchange.com support. And we love to have your name seen on the website as one of our friends or our best friends. Well, for now, the next online wave will be on January 31st, and we have a speaker from New York, and it's being organized by our wave maker in Singapore. So that was really a challenge to get them online at the same time. So it will be January 31st at 3 a.m. Central European time. So you will have to do the figuring out what time it will be in your area. We will post it online. But it's a really great speaker. So she will be, the event will be posted online on our website, I think somewhere over the weekend. So thank you for being here. I love to have you here. And thank you, Jody, again. And
Thank you.
all you who have been here and asked your questions and participated in this webinar. Love to see more of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ingen.
Bye.
Bye.